Today, I'm going to speak about the most abnormal person I've ever met. I am not a psychiatrist and I've only encountered this one person, but I decided to do a detailed account on this because my mind is also wired a little differently. I am not a professional. I'm not sharing advice on how to deal with such a person. These are just my observations and story. No actual names will be mentioned in this video. So this is forget, fight, or flight. Her amygdala stalks like Andre Iguodala on defense. At first, we experienced the calm before the storm, when the team was still lean and mean. Let's call this person C. And C was in fact the only person in her team at the time. My function at the time required me to interact with her quite a bit. During my first week, as I'm quite sensitive to how people behave and how people interact with one another, I made the following observations. C has been working for at least 10 to 15 or even 20 years and is around 40 years old. C couldn't work independently unless you lay out the task step by step. You would have to detail the project you put her on step by step, or else she could not get work done. C exhibited no sense of direction of how to run or own a category or even properly manage the category independently. C had little analytical ability, very little structure in how she communicates, and could only speak in details. Couldn't really summarize, big picture, get right to the point. Didn't really know how to use formulas, which is also a double red flag for someone who's coming from a lot of experience. Very socially awkward, and this is already coming from someone who is at times very socially awkward, and even I think she's very socially awkward. No crazy behavior observed so far, but judging from a competence perspective, she could not make an impact. We later saw parts of her we were never going to unsee and forget. Turns out she just needed people around her, colleagues, for her to unleash her wrath. The next chapter in the story involved a very abrupt turn of events. About a month in, a new hire then onboarded. And this new hire, let's call her B, was the exact opposite of her, C. Capable, sharp, communicates very well, proactive, and responsible. In terms of their roles and how their responsibilities were split, C was responsible for one part of the business, B the other. This was also when I learned that C decided to do a showcase with the office cleaning lady during our annual dinner. And after the showcase, she filed a complaint against the cleaning lady saying how she got bullied during her performance by the cleaning lady when she was the one who begged the cleaning lady to practice and perform with her on stage. Bear in mind, C also filed a official complaint against the cleaning lady, the company. So signs are starting to show. Now we enter stage one of the stages of being harassed. We were individually harassed at stage one. It started with C setting up meetings with B to threaten her. I was informed of the content of one of such meetings by both the person managing B and C and also B herself. The gist of these meetings were C dunking on B, except this didn't happen on Twitter. It happened in person. A one-on-one meeting. C would often say, "You are trying to steal this job away from me. You need money because people from where you're from in the country are just dead ass poor." And after that, she expanded on the number of people she wanted to attack. And eventually, I got put on the radar. So when it first started, She wrote me an essay through a messaging app about this one time she observed how I was looking reluctant to engage with her and everyone involved in a team dinner. The message was precise to the date and time when it happened. And it went something like, on December 25th, around 7:35 p.m., we had our team dinner, and the soft breeze brushed against my cheeks. The looks on your face made me wonder if you ever wanted to see us again, if you're set on leaving us, something like that. And for context, on that day, my allergies hit me really, really hard because oftentimes that's what happens to me in the winter. And eventually it triggered bronchitis. And I wasn't even able to breathe freely, let alone talk. So that's the reason why I did not talk much during the dinner because I was 70% dead, right? And after receiving that message, I mean, how would you have responded? I honestly didn't know how to respond, so I gave her no reply. The week after, we're back from holiday. She then booked a meeting to discuss her remarks about that night. She sat me down, read her message word for word, and asked me if I thought she had issues. Do you think I have issues? She asked. That was her exact question. I obviously did think she was out of her freaking mind, and she did have fucking issues. But at the time, I was already limiting my interactions with her. So I just kind of shrug it off, told her, no, I don't think you have issues. I just think that you need to give people some space. And just when we thought this was going to get weirder did it get. One time in a team meeting, I was busy doing other stuff and not paying attention to what C was going through because oftentimes she just reads off the slides word for word. And I went out for a bathroom break because I just drank a lot of water. Man's got to drink water. And after the meeting, she jumped me when I was speaking to two, three other people, interrupted, and accused me of not caring about the part of the business she is responsible for because I didn't pay attention to what she was talking about and had to use the bathroom halfway through her part. The entire time, she was glaring at me while trying to suppress her anger, breathing heavily, like a rhinoceros about to launch a charge. There was this other time she caught me speaking to B, the coworker taking care of the other part of the business, and bombarded me with messages like word on the street has it that, rumor suggests that, people have been telling me that you've been keeping critical business information from me, but instead is leaking this information intentionally to her competitor or her colleague, colleague B. So this was already getting on my nerves because it's extremely uncomfortable to have someone accuse you of random stuff, stop you while you're having impromptu meetings with people in the office, walk around glaring at you, and walk in circles to observe you every time they see you on the floor. So it definitely took an emotional toll on me, and I was starting to get triggered. There was also this other time she came into the office, saw a coworker, screamed the coworker's full name, sprinted towards the coworker, and said, "Oh, I didn't see you there. Bye bye." I was also then informed by my other friend in the company that C has also been stalking and harassing her incessantly, except to a different degree, to a greater extent. And what she did to D was even worse than I experienced. She was 100% stalking D at work. And here are some of the things that C did. C kept telling my friend that she looks like a male idol that C likes every chance she gets. There's also this other instance where she asked for D's full name and then proceeded to repeat the name in full 10 times while they were sitting together in a company wide meeting when someone else is presenting on stage. C also lurks around the floor my friend D is sitting at and stares at her every time and stares at her while circling around. So if D is here, then she's circling around here. If D is here, then she's circling around here, glaring, staring like a ghoul watching her human prey. What she also does is she frequently interrupts informal meetings D is in. When D is just standing around the office and talking to people about work or just chatting, C would come in, barge in, and interrupt these conversations to chat about pointless things like what D is doing after work, and to also reiterate the fact that D looks like the male model that she's really into. And what C also does is she would ask everyone in D's team or people she's able to get her hands on where D is whenever D is not working on the same floor she is working. And she would always go out of her way to talk to D. There are times where C would wait for D to appear at a building while waiting at the door and force her into a conversation. So it's very safe to say that work is becoming tougher, not because of the demands, although we do have pretty heavy workload, but more because of her incessant stalking and lurking around, circling and observing, sending us messages continuously, essays as well. And we later found out from other colleagues on the team that used to work with C elsewhere that C has a history of getting fired from companies. And the last time she got fired at a company, she stirred up so much office drama that she escalated the case all the way up to the CEO of the region. All that so that she can get discharged honorably, which wasn't really a surprise to us after experiencing her wrath. But it was sure a surprise that she got hired here in the first place. And so we moved on to stage two, where we were harassed collectively. C decided to take the harassment to another level. So she started rumors about me and B dating in the office and made sure to emphasize it was office romance. Because what else could it be? I personally talk to B 3 times a month because we just don't work together that much together. So this accusation just didn't really make sense. And it's also not true. But people in the office already knew that she was a little cuckoo, so no one really gave a shit about what she said. What she also did was she went to my boss and tried to make him think that I was quitting. She also started telling people who were in the team and outside the team that the three of us, me, B, and D, have been bullying her, when in fact we were the victims of the stalking and the harassing, and we were keeping her out of the communication chain on work related things and are planning a coup against her. Coup, her exact words. But this never worked beyond a week because she couldn't maintain the act for longer than a week. So after that happened, I had lunch with B and D this one time to discuss our plans on how to deal with this, how to report this to HR, and to just discuss if C has done anything weird to any of us recently. And we basically called it the Stalky Roundtable. C later on found out about our lunch in typical C manner and filed an official HR complaint about us bullying her and bad mouthing her. And of course, nothing was ever done after that because we didn't do anything to her and we were trying our best to avoid her as much as possible. Stage three, karma is a baller. C, thinking that she still has control over the situation, she's still sending essays about how she's feeling, saying stuff like, oh, I feel awkward seeing you around, but let's let time do the healing for our relationship. And other random essays, you can probably collect all of them together and publish into a book where she also documented the time and date of when everything happened. What we did collectively was we ignored all of her essays. And eventually, her boss started shifting work away from her and giving it to her other coworkers and be bit by bit, which she responded to in a absolutely hysterical manner, yelling and crying in the office while standing in front of her boss's desk numerous times, not just once, and loud enough for the entire office to hear and witness. Shortly after that, she was let go. She had a target on her back for way too long. She could not get work done and had the efficiency and work output of an infant. When she was called into the meeting announcing her redundancy, she would not speak to the stakeholders in the meeting and decided to call her dad about the issue and have her dad speak to the stakeholders instead, which did not work. But in hindsight, this unfortunately took way too long to solve and should have been dealt with much faster. All in all, it's extremely unfortunate for one to have to go through this experience and eventually get let go. And I try to be empathetic throughout the situation. But once you're involved as a person of interest, as a stakeholder, it's difficult to not fend for your own interest. Get fight or flight. Her amygdala box, like Andre Iguodala on defense. She's pressing full court. To finish, let's talk about her behavior and tactics and analyze them. So C is hypersensitive and attacks on both the public and private front. She plays victim in public to collect allies, but also stalks her prey in public. She is extra nice to newcomers in the sense that she wants to form alliances, saying that, me, B, and D is bullying her, shunning me from the group. They're ganging up on me, and I've got no one to go to. She hopes that public criticism will help her control how we behave to her advantage. She failed at this because she was unable to persist in maintaining the act she's putting on just for people to realize that she's abnormal in the span of a month. And they seize all interaction with her. The public stalking part also didn't really help with her strategy because while she thought she was subtle, the entire world knew what she was up to. She then simultaneously strikes in public. My take is she's using strategic fragility. Oh, we're still good. It's just a misunderstanding, and we'll let time do its healing and we'll make up in the future, that type of thing. And at the same time, threaten you and attempt to let you know she's watching you. And I think this is to freeze us up while buying time for her public flank to work. She tries to take jabs at your mental state to control your state of mind and to keep you in check. At times soft and at other times hard, all to make sure that she's in control. Guilt tripping you into bending to her will. So it's thought out, but the execution is poor. She also resorts to reputation warfare in a sense that she spreads rumors damaging your professionalism, your reputation, changing how others view you to give her a more advantageous position